And talk about them real quick.
Yeah, I think it's similar to preseason DFS where people think if you play it, it's a crapshoot and you're super degenerate. But there's two keys: use multiple tight ends and don't use your entire salary cap.
What is up, everybody? It is here, your boy Moose at Occupy Fantasy, alongside Brian Jester, Brian Jester FF, my brother, also co-owner, co-founder of Occupy Fantasy. Brian, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh man, I'm good, Moose. We got what we got? Like 5 days until we're out in Vegas. I'm starting to feel the vacation vibes.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we're going out to Vegas next Thursday. I've already been ready. I'm out here, been printing prop sheets. I got prop sheets from across all the books. Just been looking across them. Work has not been done with my real job. This is all I've been doing. So,
But you have your priorities set because you print out the prop sheets. You've been researching, but have you even booked your return flight yet?
no, I should probably do that.
I guess you're just planning on winning so much that you're just gonna stay out there, huh?
Yeah, something like that. We'll figure. Well, I'll figure it out. I gotta book it today. Um, yeah, worst case scenario, I just stay out there.
Yeah, there are worse places to be. I don't know how much, how long your bankroll can withstand Vegas, but
Maybe 7 days.
yeah.
On to more degenerate things. We're doing a Pro Bowl slate for DFS. Um, but maybe for you, you say this may not be even degeneracy. This is something that if you really focus on, while we're talking about this, we have our keys to the Pro Bowl DFS. Why don't you go ahead and talk about them real quick?
Yeah, I think it's similar to preseason DFS where people think if you play it, it's a crapshoot and you're super degenerate. But there's two keys: use multiple tight ends and don't use your entire salary cap. It's really that simple. Use a tight end in your MVP or captain spot, and you'll profit. It really is that simple for Pro Bowl DFS.
And I think we'll never see that again, where you say play a tight end as your captain spot. I mean, that's crazy.
It really is crazy. And we got Bismo in the chat. So we're streaming
Hey,
live here on Twitch. If you're watching this replay on YouTube, streaming on Twitch, Bismo is in the chat. One of our followers. What's up, Bismo? What's going on? So,
hey, what's up,
uh,
Bismo?
so I think most of the key here is, and if you don't follow the Pro Bowl, and rightfully so, right? It's a joke of a game, but they've made some rule changes recently in the last couple of years that have impacted how DFS scoring happens. And before they had the 2 game Pro Bowl slash Super Bowl slate,
Yeah.
but now it's a single game slate. So it's the same concept we've been used to over this entire season playing single games,
Hmm.
but just for the Pro Bowl. And the rule change that affects well, there's two rule changes, Moose, and for anyone listening, that if you want to know the reason why behind playing tight ends works, so you have to have at least one tight end on the field at all times on
Okay.
offense,
Okay.
and there are only two tight ends on each roster. So those tight ends are going to get tons of run first and foremost.
Yeah. So basically, a tight end is going to have the most snaps for someone that can score points.
Right, exactly. And then secondly, on the defensive side, they can't play nickel or dime defenses. So you're going to have outside linebackers, safeties guarding tight ends most of the time.
Nice.
So it helps for slot receivers too because you can't get that dime or nickel cornerback in there. So it really is some very important rule changes. Nothing has changed this year, which means we can continue to rely on the last couple of games, the last couple of years to make our lineups.
Yeah, and one of the points I think may be worth mentioning, we probably should have put in that keys points, but I don't think you start a quarterback here. I don't think you can play a quarterback. I think quarterback has been in one of the winning lineups in the past 5 years. I think you can completely fade all the quarterbacks. They're just not going to get enough reps.
Yeah, and maybe if you're I don't know if you're making 20 lineups, right, or maybe you're making 150 lineups if you're nuts. You have a couple quarterbacks. You make 20 lineups, maybe you have quarterbacks in five of them. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you're making one lineup, especially for you like a low risk player playing head to heads, no need to play a quarterback because they're going to split three quarterbacks each side relatively equally.
Yeah, I mean, unless if you somehow think Mitchell Trubisky's going to throw for 4 touchdowns off 10 passes, then you don't play him.
Right. Russell Wilson actually did that a few years ago, 3 touchdowns on like 12 attempts. So that's what has to happen
Yeah,
for them to be worthwhile.
exactly. Yeah. So, um, we've talked about some of the rule changes. So you want to start out with this?
Yeah, let's do it. And Bismo makes a very salient point in the chat saying, "I bet the AOL Messenger guy will make 150 lineups." Shake my head.
What's up, Bismo?
Yeah. But yeah, let's make some FanDuel lineups. And while you find the contest, we could definitely talk some more about strategy.
Cool, cool. And so we're gonna be, and while we're loading that up, Brian, do you want to tell them about the props guide that's coming out tomorrow?
I cannot wait. So Super Bowl props guide. We'll have, I think, close to 200 different props researched, and it's gonna be $9.99 to purchase. If you're a premium member at OccupyFantasy.com, you already have access for free. So
Okay.
if you're not a member, you can go buy the guide directly. Just get the guide. It lists over 200 props. It lists what the true line should be on those props, and then
Okay.
it tells you what line you should look for to actually bet the prop. And then it tells you, most importantly, because of all the money that comes in on props for the Super Bowl, when to bet it. Should you bet it immediately, or because the public is coming in and driving the price down, should you wait until before the game starts? We list this for 200 different props, so it's really an end all be all guide for being profitable betting Super Bowl props.
That sounds pretty ridiculous, and I can't stress enough how important the time of when to bet it. So if we're as soon as we land in Vegas, I'm going to the Westgate, I'm going to William Hill, I'm going to see the M Resort. I'm getting those ones that we're saying to bet ASAP. There's things you'll say, why am I betting this on game day? And you'll just see magically somehow the line's going to move down because the public bets the same things every year, and you're like, wow, these guys know their shit.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you'll know, like, defensive special teams touchdown, no missed extra point. Like these props that the public is not going to bet minus 200 or minus 400 on. No chance. We've talked about it many times before. Like they're just not going to do it. So by letting the public bet all the big plus money odds, drive down the price, we can scoop in a Super Bowl weekend and get the best prices.
And win some money in the meantime. Let's go. So let's see here. So I'm taking a look. I took a look at some of the contests. There seems to be a couple GPPs, a couple double ups. I, my thing is the Pro Bowl being so random. I don't think you can play lower risk. I think you have to at least play some sort of. I was looking for a triple up, but it's not
Actually,
there.
I actually think you can play low risk because I do think
Really?
people are going to play running backs. They're going to play quarterbacks, especially contests where there aren't a lot of people with experience badges. I definitely think you can play low risk because they're not going to play optimally.
Okay, so yeah, so I see this here, and it's about 50-50 experience badges and not. So this double up here should be fine, right?
I think so.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, especially playing head to heads tomorrow in this Pro Bowl slate. I mean, it should be easy pickings, I think.
Yeah. So the pricing is so different on the different sites too. I know Mahomes here at 14,000, but I think on DraftKings, I think he's what like 10,000. Tyreek
This,
Hill's number one. Yeah,
like,
but
why would you play him at 14,000?
exactly, yeah. It was like what was it the NBA stream we did when freaking James Harden was 25,000.
It's still hidden value too.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. All right, so again with the craziest thing ever, and I'll put it back here up here on the slate, on the stream. Use multiple tight ends is the number one keys to Pro Bowl DFS. I can't believe I'm saying this. How the hell are we playing tight ends or focusing on tight ends? Um, anyway, with that, I think we have to go. Looking into it, I like George Kittle.
Have to, right? I mean, the thing is, some of the poor, quote unquote, poor tight end performances in recent Pro Bowls have been from like geriatric dudes like Jason Witten and Gary
Mhm.
Barnidge. Dudes who are like anywhere resembling any athleticism whatsoever do pretty well. Kittle led the position by far in yards per route run and yards after the catch. So I mean, Kittle just makes absolute the most sense as MVP.
And I don't know if this is going to be some sort of regression thing or maybe he's just that good. But I believe he actually has the highest difference between expected yards after the catch compared to his real to what his real yards after the catch are
Yeah,
by next gen
that
stats.
next Yeah, I mean he crushes that statistic. And Moose, aren't they doing something with next gen stats for the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, so for the first time, the NFL will be doing live next gen stat player tracking for the game, and what that means is you can go to NFL. I believe it's nextgenstats.com/Pro Bowl. We'll definitely be able to tweet it out and all that information. But it's going to be live next gen stats and player tracking in real time. So instead of like you go to NFL.com, you go to ESPN, and you see, oh, their play-by-play. Tom Brady passes Julian Edelman for 15 yards, and that's it. But they're actually going to have all players, offense, defense, in real time moving, showing you that exact play where the ball is, all the different speeds, all the different next-gen stats that are showing live in real time for each play. And I believe you'll be able to go back to previous plays and check those out as well.
Be sick. I can't wait to do it. I mean, that's the future of, first of all, fantasy analysis and data analysis for NFL.
Not for the Chargers, though.
Definitely 100% not for the Chargers, who, if you haven't been around our chat before, you may not know that they have not a single analytics employee on staff, but
Come on, cut.
who cares? They make money, so.
Whose man's is this?
Yeah.
All right, so we have George Kittle here at tight end. And again, going back to what I alluded to earlier, I don't think you play. I don't see you play any of these quarterbacks if you're making a single lineup, which is going to lead to the fact. I was just testing some lineups out. I had one where I had like $10,000 left over, and it's just fine. Like you don't have to. You don't worry about your salary cap here.
No, like don't worry about it whatsoever because now if these quarterbacks were the same price as the receivers and stuff, sure, but there's no reason for them to be priced higher.
Exactly. Yeah. I think FanDuel, DraftKings, when they make these prices, they're probably just like F it and just throw out random.
Yeah, I don't think they put any effort whatsoever. And so let's think about a second tight end here. I mean, all year we've played this guy on FanDuel because of his touchdown scoring ability this season. What do you think about Eric Ebron? He seems like the next best bet for tight ends. So who are the tight ends? Like George Kittle, Eric Ebron, Austin Hooper was a late addition to the roster for Zach Ertz. And who's the other tight end? Because Kelsey and Ertz dropped out, and people will probably play them, honestly. If you look at the initial Pro Bowl roster, if you Google Pro Bowl roster.
Yeah, it said that. Now I looked at it on NFL.com. I was like, this is wrong. Like, what are you talking about? I guarantee they have like a 1%, like in a GPP. I guarantee they'll have a 1%.
Dude, I guarantee head-to-heads will have some of these guys, like for sure. Like Drew Brees, like a lot of these guys who were originally selected and then became alternates due to various reasons, they're going to be owned, and that's another edge that we have.
So then maybe after this, maybe we do enter it in like a single entry GPP just to try and just to tailor it toward that stupidity. I hate to say it that way, but
no, but seriously, it's just like preseason DFS, where like our low risk, quote unquote, lineup may also be perfect for high risk too, just because the best plays might not be the highest owned, which is a rarity in DFS, but this might be the case.
Exactly, yeah. So, so we have Kittle, Cook, Ebron, Hooper.
Cook. Yeah, Jared Cook was the other one. So I think Ebron, Cook make the most sense, and then Hooper if you want to go different. But I don't know. I mean, Hooper's the least athletic of those guys. I think Ebron or Cook make the most sense.
Yeah, exactly. And you're getting one from each side, so in theory, you get 50% of the snaps from a tight end.
That's true.
And I guess if you wanted to go super different, you could play all four tight ends. I don't think that's necessary.
Let's see. So last year, if you played all four tight ends, right? Okay. Jack Doyle was garbage.
Well, I mean, he's
didn't
Jack
do anything.
Doyle.
Yeah, he had 2 for 17, so he had 2.7 FanDuel points. Delanie Walker had 16 FanDuel points.
Okay.
Kyle Rudolph had 10.5 fantasy points, but you wouldn't play Jason Witten, who had 2 for 16. So like you're combining for like 40 fantasy points already right off the bat.
And this is way different than a regular single game slate. Where, what do you think a winning lineup would be for like a low risk and a higher risk? It's obviously not going to be the same as what
like 25, 30 points probably, maybe a little bit higher for low risk, and then up to 60 points maybe. Yeah, it's just like preseason because no one's playing a full game here.
Exactly, yeah. So, but I still think you stick with at least. I think you at least go 2 tight ends, if not more. So we have with that. We were talking in the Occupied group chat earlier about running backs, and the general consensus between all of us were don't play running backs unless you play someone like Kamara, who has the passing ability. So like Kamara or maybe Saquon.
Right. Because running backs just don't get carries in the Pro Bowl, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Last year, the leading rusher had 5 carries.
Yeah.
The year before, the leading rusher had 8 carries. Like no one's getting double-digit carries here, so they have to have some sort of ability in the passing game. So what? Kamara, Saquon Barkley. Don't forget about Tariq Cohen, who was selected as a return specialist, but I'm sure he'll get some snaps on offense too. So I think Cohen's more of a high-risk type of guy, but
Yeah.
Kamara and Barkley make the most sense. But even then, I would still rather play tight ends or receivers.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if you look at like the weighted opportunities, which is a metric that we like to use at Occupy Fantasy, that puts targets a little bit ahead of rushing attempts. Even if you count both of those combined for running backs, wide receivers are still going to get more targets than a weighted opportunity for a running back, generally speaking.
Exactly. And so if you move to receiver, uh, slot receivers make a ton of sense because, like I said, you can't get nickel or dime guys on the field.
Yeah.
You look last year, T.Y. Hilton, who plays a decent amount of slot, he led the AFC in receiving. Jarvis Landry, solely a slot guy, was second on the team. And then you look at the NFC, Doug Baldwin, primarily a slot guy, led receivers. The year before, Doug Baldwin was number 2 in the NFC. T.Y. Hilton led the AFC again. So I think these guys who can play in the slot make the most sense.
Yeah. So, let's see. Well, Ti is not playing. I don't see Ty in here. But so then, what kind of slot receivers are playing this year?
So I'm gonna bring up the Pro Bowl rosters here just so we get the latest, because guys like Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, um, opted not to play for various reasons, and so we did get Jarvis Landry in as an alternate. So I think Jarvis Landry first. While I'm looking at the rest of the rosters,
Okay.
I mean Landry had success in the Pro Bowl, and his type of game translates really well to the rules in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
And it's,
Landry is one of the better wide receiver plays.
and especially like you said, with him being like an alternate, that's going to showcase in his ownership. He's probably going to be significantly less owned than someone else, than someone who's already on the roster.
Still trying to bring up the rosters here.
Okay. Yeah. No worries.
Internet's being super slow.
Looks like Neffer said his new this Pro Bowl
All
slate
right,
is all new
so
to me. Is saying that we got some really good info. So yeah, Neffer's great info. Pro Bowl slate is definitely really new. When we were talking about it in the Occupy group chat, this is like one of my first Pro Bowl slates. I'm just like, this is so
DeAndre
crazy.
Hopkins and Hill,
Yeah.
and then on the NFC side,
Brian, can you hear
you
me?
have Julio. So you have Adam Thielen, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. Adam Thielen primarily a slot guy. Um, Cooper plays some. Adams and Evans primarily outside guys. So I think Thielen on that side has the best bet, whereas the AFC has a lot of slot guys that you could use.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, can you hear me real quick?
Hear you? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I tried to interject on the one thing with Neffers. Did you hear that part from Neffers
I,
in the chat?
no, I did not. Let me see.
Yeah, so Neffer's saying that the Pro Bowl slate is all new to me. Some good info. Yeah, when I this is my first Pro Bowl slate really too. I played a little bit last year, um, but it's just so different, and that's where we can definitely take advantage of.
Because people have no idea, right?
Yeah.
People are going to play quarterbacks, and most people just aren't even thinking creating lineups. It's literally very similar to the preseason slates.
Yes. Um, so while you were doing that, you were mentioning some of the slot wide receivers.
Yeah, for the AFC. So I mean, almost all of them. Landry, I think Juju Smith-Schuster, his first Pro Bowl. It is more narrative based, obviously. We don't have any grips on playing time. You and I both looked. Most you couldn't find anything yet on any nuggets on who's playing the most or who's expected to play a lot.
No, I mean I'm reaching out to beat writers, like equipment managers, assistant coach. I'm reaching out to anybody. I don't care if I got to send 1,000 DMs. I'm like, yo, who the hell is playing in the Pro Bowl? And the people that did respond just like literally sent me the roster, and I'm like, fuck
Well,
you,
thanks,
this is
dude.
not what I want.
Appreciate
Um,
it. Thanks for
but
googling this for me.
but reading what other people's predictions are, I actually have heard Juju Smith-Schuster's name pop up a lot. So I definitely think someone like him is one who, according to some people, is trying to make a statement. Might be a good addition to play.
I think so. I think it makes a ton of sense. And Moose Bismo asks, what percentage of your bankroll are you guys allocating towards the slate? I would say at least 2 to 3%, maybe up to 3 to 4%. What do you think, Moose?
I think that too. Again, this is back with the Pro Bowl slate, like with the preseason, where we want to take advantage of what some people call the market inefficiencies. So we know how to beat this. A lot of the players who don't know how to beat it are going to be playing as well. So I think maybe 3 to 4%. I would go with that.
I say at least. And if you can find some contests where there aren't a lot of people with experience badges, you can even up it to 4 to 5%.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to head-to-heads and you see people just no experience badges, just boom, challenge them before someone else gets them.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So
So
yeah, I was gonna say I think we need somebody from the NFC. Just or do we? I'm thinking we have someone with the NFC to try and mitigate, like just having players on both teams, or we can kind of have it where we have a third or a fourth AFC player to kind of help. Always make sure someone is on the field on that side when we're playing.
that's true too. I do think 3-2 is the best split probably.
Okay.
So I really would love to get Jared Cook a third tight end in here, but um, yeah, I don't know if you can do it. But you'll notice here, most look at your remaining salary. Like we're not even going to come close to hitting the cap.
Yeah, 20. And people are going to look at that who aren't that experienced and going to say, dude, I have 20,000 left over. I got to upgrade to somebody. Okay, well, let me take out Ebron and I'm going to put in Mahomes or something like that.
100%. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So taking a look at this, for NFC, I'm literally just going down the list. Adam Thielen, that's our boy who gets 15 catches a game.
Yeah.
Do you like someone like him?
Yeah, I think Thielen, like we said, he's really the primary slot guy on that side. Thielen, um, and you have Russ Wilson, Mitch Trubisky as the quarter, and Dak Prescott as the quarterbacks there. I think Thielen does make absolutely the most sense. And some people might actually think, oh, we got to stack a quarterback with his
No.
his receiver from his actual team because they have chemistry, and in theory that makes sense, right? But most that hasn't really been the case over the last few Pro Bowls, right?
No, like I said before, when I did the research for someone to win a high end GPP, um, a quarterback was in one lineup, and it wasn't even with their primary with a receiver from their team.
I think there's been one quarterback receiver connection, that played on the same team during the regular season. There's been one touchdown of that sort over the last four Pro Bowls, so it's really not something you should aim for. It makes sense, right? Like they have familiarity, but really it never comes down to that.
No, and let's think about it from a higher level sense too. All these people are freaking professional, like god-like professional athletes. That's why they're the best players in the Pro Bowl. They only need a couple snaps to really get into motion with these people.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, especially the way that the vanilla defenses are and stuff like this, yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like, hey, go long, I'm gonna throw it to you. Like a quarterback doesn't need chemistry to throw it at a certain area.
No, and also Adam Thielen's always open, so like any quarterback, any quarterback can find him.
Exactly, yeah. So again, I'm just gonna bring the keys to the Pro Bowl DFS up. We hit both of them. We used multiple tight ends, and don't use your entire salary cap. We have 12.5 left over. Um, that's people. Like I said, people are gonna look at that and they're gonna freak out. But this looks great for us. This is definitely something that we can enter in this contest, right?
100%. So for you, do you think most of your allocation here should be in low risk? If you play 3 to 4%, you think most should be in these head-to-heads, double ups where there's no experience badges?
I think, and again, I'm more of a lower risk player. I'm always a little bit more conservative. However, I think we do higher risk here because we want to target those market inefficiencies. If we have, because let's think about it, a tight end, a captain is probably going to be one of the lower owned people as a captain spot. I think you have to take that in, throw it to some type of single entry GPP, or if you're making 4 or 5 lineups with different things, throw that in a 4 or 5 entry max. That's why I think you go high risk here.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this. I know we have some members, some followers, some listeners who like to play 20 max or 5 max. If you were playing, let's just say you were playing 20 cheap high risk lineups, whether you're playing the big game satellite on FanDuel or DraftKings, whatever it may be. What do you think your allocation would be for quarterbacks and tight ends in that?
So I think for so I think for uh, captain MVP spot, I don't think I would. I don't think I'd put a quarterback in, regardless if I did 150 lineups. Um, I think all right. Let's say percentage-wise basis, we have let's say 80% of it's my captain's going to be a tight end, 20% wide receiver, and then probably flip it on the other way. Probably like let's say 60% wide receiver, 20% tight end, 10% running back.
I think that's fair. Yeah, you maybe get some sprinkle in some Kamara and Barkley. You mostly get receivers and tight ends. If you're playing 5 or 20 lineups, maybe you put in 1 or 2 quarterbacks, like in 10% of your lineups.
Yeah,
150,
maybe.
if you're playing 150 lineups, then sure you add more quarterbacks, but
Hmm.
20 lineups, I don't think so. Do they have any big game satellites for FanDuel? Because Big Steve is in the chat. Shout out to Big Steve. He said he's max entering the cheap DraftKings Super Bowl satellites, which actually, surprisingly, even though they refuse to have satellites for some of the better slates, they have a ton of satellites on this Pro Bowl slate.
Um, we already know the answer to that. FanDuel's a piece of shit. They don't have it,
They don't have it.
and I was actually looking for triple ups, and I was like, man, I think a triple up will be absolutely perfect here. Um, but no, they don't have triple ups. They literally have just some double ups. And if you're eating it, and that's what sucks is like just thinking about like more of an entertainment standpoint. If you have someone who's kind of new to DFS, they want to play cheaper slates. They want to play something less than $5, say the $1, $2 one. Um, really, they have a $5 beginner double up, one $5 double up, a $2. Yeah, they have two five, two to two, and one one. They're obviously going to fill by tomorrow. So if you're someone who is just trying to get in the game, it just looks bad. You're like, I don't know what to play.
Not a ton of options there, and I don't know, sometimes we talk about paralysis by I don't know what the actual saying is, but
Yeah,
having
I don't
too
know
many
where you're. I don't know where you're going with that.
too many options like can paralyze you,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, I don't even know what to pick. There's too many options. That's why like some of the best restaurants have like 1 or 2 things on the menu. That's why Henry Ford, the when he created the Model T. Have you ever heard this story? I'm really going off tangent here, most.
Yeah, I have no idea where you're going with this, but
So
okay.
basically Henry Ford, right? They created the Model T and they made it just in black.
Okay.
And one of his designers or salesmen was like, "Hey, a customer inquired and wants to know um, if they can pick their own color for their new Model T car." He goes, "Yeah, they can pick any color as long as it's black." And his thought process was, if you give people 12 colors of a car, they're gonna be like, "I don't even know what to pick," and they're just gonna not pick a car. If you have one option, one car, one color to pick, it makes it a lot easier to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
Going all the way back, I don't even think FanDuel's this smart. I'm saying maybe they have a couple options just for people they don't get overwhelmed. But I don't think they're that smart. They're not doing that.
No, no, and just to iterate on that, you can have more than one option. It's like, yeah, granted, yes, they have five options. That doesn't make sense, but you can at least have, let's say, two or three of each of the same kind. So when one fills up, you're not just shit out of luck.
Right?
Um,
Seriously,
yeah. So I wanted to play something like a triple up. So then maybe we what if you think about like a 100 player league for this?
100% that or a single entry GPP. I think a 100-player league though makes the most sense. Most clearly, someone agree with us as I don't even know what his username is in the chat, but he's saying options are a modern luxury, and that's for sure.
Definitely. Um, let's see here. So these are all multi-entry, um, with 3 entry max. I mean, I think you can absolutely play the same lineup 3 times in a 100 player contest. Do you think so?
Yes, if you can't see me, I'm shaking my head. Yes, definitely. I think we can.
Perfect. And do you think the lineup that we just made for the low risk, do you think that can work for a 100 player league as well?
Yep, just like preseason, our
Hmm.
best lineup in our eyes can certainly be played in high risk too, just because it's not going to be the most efficient by other people's standards.
Yeah.
So we got Big Steve in the chat who has been very vocal about us starting a mukbang channel. Um, eating while we're building lineups. Maybe my Uber Eats gets here in time, and I'll be able to eat while I build the lineup.
I know you were thinking of like different ideas or whatever and something to help incorporate. Literally everything you came back to was like I gotta incorporate food with it.
I mean, that's just my passion, bro. I like eating. I know I'm skinny, but I like eating.
I mean, shit, that would be kind of cool. Just have like a just do different because you're what where you're at there's a whole bunch of different places like ethnicity wise. Shit, just try a different dessert and while we're making lineups. Oh, this is Ethiopian cake or uh there's a Oblivion spot down the street that my girl's going to. Oh yeah, here's some cow heart. Let's try this out while we're waiting for lineups.
Bro, I get so fat.
Then that's when you just start an exercise channel, Occupy Muscle or something like that.
Really, really, really going off tangent here.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we did that. Let's say because we're talking about maybe a little bit more than a regular single game slate. I do want to find a single entry GPP to put this in. So I went ahead and I three maxed that 100 player league. Now I'm going to uh, let's see if we can find a single entry.
Nick in the chat. Nick in the chat says occupy stomach.
Nice. Just add occupy to anything and it makes it worthwhile.
Dude, it actually works. It really does. If you occupy anything, it works.
Dude, and what were we actually? We were talking about this earlier, about like the occupy, like the goals of occupy, like bankroll management, contest selection, and actually applying that to real life. Like that actually makes sense.
It actually does. Occupy life, like entering the right situations in life and managing your money. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could definitely do occupy finance, occupy life advice.
Yes.
A lot of spin-offs here, moves.
Yeah. Again, it just shows how much fun it's like Pro Bowl slate is. Like we're goofing off, um, and we're still doing a shit ton better than everyone else.
But yeah, sure. What about this $1 single entry moves to squib?
That's what I was looking at. Yeah. And you know the breakdown's not too bad. I've definitely seen worse. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's only a small percentage. You're playing double ups in 100-player leagues around it. This is like 1/7 of your allocation, so it's fine.
Yeah. And now, you said before, there used to be a combined slate for the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl, right?
And people actually are clamoring for it on Twitter. Everyone's asking FanDuel and DraftKings to bring the two-game slate back, but in true DFS fashion, they're not listening to their customers, and so it will not be there.
Um, now I did hear our NBA writers told us this, but Yahoo is actually doing the double slate.
Oh,
Um,
shout
so
out Yahoo.
I know, dude, Yahoo. I'm loving Yahoo. They're doing their thing. Real
Mhm.
quick, that same lineup that we've been doing, perfect for GPP because we're tackling inefficiencies. Yep. All right, cool. So while we're loading up DraftKings in here, what would be the same kind of concept for if someone's playing on Yahoo? How would you tackle the two game slate? Do you just say screw the Pro Bowl and go completely Super Bowl because you know people are going to be playing a full game there?
Play the tight ends from the Pro Bowl, especially in this Super Bowl where
Okay.
Higbee, Everett are splitting time and Gronk is a zombie. Like you can definitely play Pro Bowl tight ends over the Super Bowl tight ends. Defenses, play the Pro Bowl defenses over the Super Bowl defenses for
Really?
sure.
All right.
Yeah,
Hold on. Why, yeah.
the-
Why would you say that?
if
I'm
you
just
look at the
curious.
props, if you're just looking at a generic way to look at it, the props for the game in the Super Bowl is 3.5 sacks over under total, right? Very low.
Okay.
Generally, in previous Super Bowls, that total has been 4.5, 5.
Yep.
So not expecting a ton of sacks. It's gonna be a high-scoring game. Neither quarterback is favored to throw an interception,
Okay.
so it shouldn't be many turnovers. However, if you look at the Pro Bowl slates, the Pro Bowl games last year, okay, 4 combined interceptions. There were 3 sacks in the game. You look at the 2017 game, there were 3 combined interceptions, 9 combined sacks, and they're very cheap. I mean, both these defenses are super cheap on DraftKings.
Yeah.
They're cheaper on FanDuel. I would definitely play defense and tight end from the Pro Bowl, and then fill the rest of your roster out with Super Bowl guys.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Because you think and thinking like a higher level thing with it. What other people are thinking? They're thinking, oh God, Pro Bowl, they're going to score 50, 60, 70 points. I can't play defense from here. their ownership's going to be super, super low owned.
Not to mention, you might not think this is the case, but the Pro Bowl total is lower than the Super Bowl total.
Okay, I didn't even know that, but okay. I was actually looking in the chat too. We got Bismo said occupy fuck FanDuel. So yeah, I like that too.
Well, yeah, we'll never disagree there until they get their contest team revamped.
Yes. All right, so we go off a lot of tangents on this one. I'm not sure why. Um, we got we got DraftKings loaded up. Um,
Let's
uh,
go to the satellites. Yeah, big game all day here. You can get your big game tickets here for sure. They have 25-cent, 10-cent, dollar, $2, all varieties, all field sizes. I mean, just a shit ton of big game satellites. If you've been trying to get entries into this contest, this is the slate to really rack up your tickets. I mean, just tons and tons of opportunities. Look how many satellites they have for big game.
do they? So maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
Oh,
All right.
they've changed the name. It's
Oh,
no longer called the Big Game Satellite. It's now called the Championship Satellite.
okay.
For whatever reason, they decided to change that. I'm not really sure why.
Maybe big game with something. I don't fucking know. Okay. Time to hammer down. This is the $2 one that I really like. The single entry one. Definitely gonna start off with that. And again, while that's loading, put the keys to Pro Bowl DFS up there. I think this is actually even more true for DraftKings, where you absolutely have to play a tight end as your captain MVP spot because of the PPR, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely get a tight end in your captain spot.
And so maybe to switch up our global allocation, do you think we maybe go? Do you think we still keep Kittle as captain, or do we go maybe Ebron?
I mean, it's hard to have a ton of confidence in a player in a Pro Bowl, but I do really like Kittle a lot. But maybe you go Ebron here. But here you have 6 spots. I think you do go 3 tight ends here with Kittle, Cook, Ebron.
Yeah, so we go Ebron because again, you can think about your global allocation as your allocation. Um, so we have half as Kittle as the captain, Ebron half as the other captain. I'm down with that.
Yeah, so I think here, if you're playing 20 DraftKings lineups, you're entering 20 lineups in that 25-cent or the 10-cent satellite, which is a pretty good strategy, right? So I mean, it's $4.
Yeah.
It's $2 if you play the 10-cent one, where you just click buttons and get allocation. There, I would have 10-20% defenses because they actually should score at least 3 to 4 points each, which may be higher than some receivers.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then what do you even think about? I mean, I know this is a lower total, but the kickers. Do you think maybe you throw in a kicker if you're trying to go higher risk? Maybe they get some touchdowns, some extra points. I don't know. They don't really kick field goals in the Pro Bowl, but just thinking out loud there.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that the ceiling is so low there, where I think
Mhm.
there's only been like 6 field goal attempts in the last couple of Pro Bowls.
Okay. Yeah.
Extra points are not allowed to rush, so I mean the extra points are basically guaranteed.
Yeah.
But even so, the game scoring hasn't been that high recently. So
Okay. Cool. So we have Kill. You said we also think about. You said maybe putting Jared Cook in there for the third tight end.
I think they're the 3 most athletic guys at the position in the game. Hooper is good, like I said, for a couple lineups if you're playing 10 or 20. But I think Cook, Ebron, Kittle are in a different class from him.
Yeah, definitely. Um, again, then we go with slot receivers. I think we go back with Thielen, right?
Yeah, I think we play the same guys from the other side. You go Thielen, Juju, and then maybe we get or um, maybe we go Thielen, Landry, and then a different sixth guy. So we're not all in on Juju.
So taking a look here at what the different wide receivers are. Um, I mean, I'm just looking at it like pure athleticism. Someone like Tyreek Hill, where the defenses necessarily aren't going to do too well. I know he doesn't play the slot, but I could definitely see him doing like a stop and go or just a straight go route, trying to burn somebody.
Yeah, I can see that too. And last year he had 1 catch for 18 yards. But I believe, hold on, let me see here. Now, last year he was voted in as a receiver. The year before his rookie year he was voted in as a returner. So he was a receiver last year. Only got 2 targets. Year before, he also had 2 targets. I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, he has the game-breaking ability. I just don't know if he'll be a guy that gets like 7 targets in this game. Maybe he will. I don't know.
So then let me ask you another question for game theory wise. We have Adams here who's technically questionable. Um, that's going to scare off a lot of people in a Pro Bowl where not everyone's going to get uh, not everyone's going to get a lot of playing time. Do you think that could be a good potential play?
Yeah, I think some like Adams because they haven't updated his injury designation since week 17.
Hmm.
Um,
And then that's going to make his ownership lower. I see people see questionable in a Pro Bowl and they're like, oh, if he's questionable, he's definitely not playing a game. It doesn't mean anything.
right. Yeah, if that was the case, he would have dropped out, right?
Yeah.
So he's in. He's playing. So yeah, I think Adams makes sense from that perspective. He'll certainly be lower owned than he should be.
So let's see. So we put him in again. Remaining salary 13.9. Does not matter. You can have 40,000 left over. It does not matter as long as your game script fits.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you like this lineup for a satellite here?
I do. Yeah, like I said, it's hard to have confidence fully in all these receivers,
Yeah.
but it does have a high floor, high ceiling combo. And like I said, this is a single lineup strategy that we're implementing where we're not using a quarterback. Just to reiterate, if you are playing multiple lineups, you might want to get a couple quarterbacks in there, a couple running backs, but your primary allocation is going to be tight ends and it's going to be receivers.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, you don't have to stack. You don't have to do any of that shit. Um, just it just doesn't matter.
No, definitely doesn't. Okay.
So then taking a look at that, that's actually the only single entry uh, championship millionaire satellite. Um, but taking a look here, so let's take a look. There's some of these contests that are 17 entry max, 20 entry max. Here's one for 5 entry max. That makes more sense. If you're doing a single lineup, may not it's not worth it. I don't think to play it 20 times, 17 times. But it could be the case where if you have a 5 entry max, you play it 4 times, right? For 4 tickets.
Right, yeah, just make sure you're not entering more than the amount of tickets they give out. But yeah, I think that makes sense.
So for this 25-cent one, let's just go ahead and enter it 4 times.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good move. Um, yeah, I really do think if you have any amount of time, like I said, you still have over 24 hours to make lineups. If you're not super busy this weekend, you got some time tomorrow morning. I think really the best move here on DraftKings is to make 20 lineups, 10 lineups, and just gets a good mix of tight ends, get as many tight ends receivers as you can, mix in some quarterbacks and running backs, and try to max enter some of these satellites because it's going to be the best way, especially these sub $5 ones where pros can't enter.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the best way to get tickets for next Sunday's Super Bowl GPP.
Yeah, I mean like look at this here and for 10 cents, a 14 entry max, $1.40, $1.40.
Right.
You're not hampering your bankroll to the point where you're risking 5-6% of your bankroll on hopefully getting one ticket.
Right.
Yeah,
Seriously. And honestly, just enter most of your allocation, even on DraftKings, play head to heads and double ups. Say you're just let's just say you're playing $5, right?
yeah,
Like that's all you want to play on the Pro Bowl. That's all your bankroll allows you to play. Just put $4, maybe 350 in head to heads and double ups with a really solid lineup like we talked about. And then just make 10, 20 lineups, 14 lineups that you can enter in these satellites.
yeah. And so two questions. First question is, let's say if you are someone who's trying to do 20 entry max, what's the best free way for someone to be able to generate 20 lineups?
Yeah, if you don't do it by hand, actually Roto Grinders has a pretty decent lineup builder. Roto Grinders has a lot of free tools, and here at
Hmm.
Occupy, we're not here to try to sell you only on Occupy tools, right? There's
Yep.
tons of free tools out there. We talk about Kevin Roth, the weatherman for MLB. We talk about Fantasy Labs NBA, their in and out injury updates on Twitter, all free. We have no shame in letting people go to these other sites. Roto Grinders has a pretty decent free lineup tool. You can only build a max of 20 lineups, which is perfect for this type of slate. Go to the
Exactly.
lineup tool, enter your exposures, build 20 lineups, and then you can manually adjust afterwards. That's probably the best way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Roto grinders would be the way to go. And second, is this you? I'm in head to heads. This court jesters. Is that you? Or
That is me. I made a decent amount of head to heads this morning. Yeah.
Yep. So take a look at the $1 head-to-heads. Literally anybody you can play against has the highest level experience badge. You're gonna get destroyed. Or maybe if you play Brian, you won't. Um, but just
It, it,
yeah, taking a look at that. I mean, that's something you want to look for. Where it
you're, mu-
doesn't really make sense to play head-to-heads against all these different people.
you're much better off creating your own head-to-heads
Okay.
because you'll get more casual players joining them, whereas the people who are creating them generally are more advanced. So
And yeah, go
if,
ahead.
if you create $1 head-to-heads, you'll probably get some casual guys joining up.
And isn't there a way? And I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and uh, create a challenge for head-to-head. I really wish maybe DraftKings or somebody would do this, but if they did like a 50-cent head-to-head, that would be perfect. Maybe 25-cent head-to-head for people who are really just trying it out.
Right?
Um,
It really should.
but if you are doing head-to-heads, I always like to do the limit the number of times one person can play against you. I like to set that within the single digits. Preferably one. So in case if you don't get matched up with a pro 20 times and you get pretty screwed.
I set it to one every time, and
Yeah.
of course, FanDuel, of course, does not have this feature. So a lot of times you'll get scooped by the same guy 20 times.
Yeah.
Fortunately, DraftKings does have this feature. You should set it. You want to, you know, the purpose of creating head-to-heads is to diversify. So this
Yep.
is the best way to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, so let's go ahead here. I'll just do five $1 head-to-heads. That's perfectly within my bankroll. Maybe you can only do one or two. Um, let's go ahead here. Join contest. Boom. And I probably will go ahead and do a 20 entry max or 14 entry max at least. And I'll post my allocations on Twitter, at Twitter at CFB_Moose, just so people can get a feel of what kind of allocation we're doing. I'm not sure if you are doing anything like that, Brian.
I'm creating. What am I creating tomorrow? I think I'm creating 20 Pro Bowl lineups. I'm doing the 20 max GPPs, and I'll be max entering all those satellites you just saw, trying to get as
Okay.
many tickets as I can. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I'll post my allocations, but I mean it's going to be along these same lines that we've been talking about today. So
Absolutely, yeah. So taking a look here, then uh, we got some multipliers, and again, I'm using the Roto Grinders extension tool that shows that these $1 quintuple ups actually have the lowest margin, about 10% rake. That's definitely something I want to get into. That's more of a higher risk. 'Cause if you compare it to like these single entry GPPs, the margin's 15, 16%. You're saving yourself, 6% of rake by playing these with basically the same kind of payout structure. Because if you don't necessarily need to reach the top 0.1% to in a GP like in a GPP to really hit your money. You really have to win it. Where these 10x boosters you get within top 1%, better I think better payout in my opinion.
I mean it's a fact.
Top
Yeah, it's better
five, yeah,
payout. Yeah, anything outside the top 0.5% is better payouts in leagues, boosters, quintuple ups.
yeah. So this one here looks okay. I'm gonna go ahead and draft team.
Um, Most Big Steve in the chat said one of his strategies is if he plays GPPs or high risk, he hedges some of his bankroll by playing head to heads against old college buddies who only play season long and think that they're super sharp. He said it works every time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of leads back to the point where you always iterate where if you're playing satellites, cover it back up with cash. So let's say regardless of what you get from your satellite, so you're not draining your physical bankroll or your balance indicator, you have the chance to win some money on it at the same time winning the tickets. So you don't have to constantly keep depositing while you're waiting for that tournament to hit.
Right. 100% true.
So let's go ahead here. Again, do you think that the same lineup is good for all contest types? I mean, I think so. I can't keep reiterating it enough.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Okay.
100%. Let's see.
Yeah,
There's actually a
Bismo
question.
has a good question. Yeah, I'm able to figure out how to get Twitch chat without it like infinitely Inception-like on the screen.
If you don't know what he's talking about, it is super Inception. Like when the whole screen just like converges like 1,000 different screens. Yeah, what was his question again?
So let's see. He said he's got a $10 ticket that he won from Twitter. Would you put that towards the big game? It's good until 2020.
It's ridiculous. First of all, that it has a 2020 expiration date. That's crazy long. But what I like to do, if I can have multiple tickets to the same contest, I do it. Right. So if I have a $10, if I have multiple or even one big game GPP ticket, I'm adding this $10 one to it
Yeah.
because I want as many chances as I can when I'm working on the same slate, as many chances as I can for that top prize. I like to combine them. I know maybe some other people like to say, well, give me another shot on a different sport or a different slate, but you want to get as close to the max entries as possible. And having two tickets compared to one doubles your, your exposure and gives you a better chance. So that's my reasoning, at least.
I think so too. Yeah, because the ultimate, let's say the ultimate goal here is to maximize your win percentage, maximize your return on investment, and if you're playing against people who there's not only just one, two, like you have several people who are going to 150 max entry this contest. You want to get close to that as possible, whether from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 10 to 11. That's still going to help you out. I think you apply it to a contest that you already have entries in.
Yeah, that would be my go-to as well.
Cool. So, um, all right. So we got the things on DraftKings. We did it on FanDuel. Do you have time? I'm going to throw this out there. We didn't even talk about this before. You want to do the two-game slate on Yahoo?
We could try really quickly. I've been instructed by my significant other that I have to get this Uber Eats when it comes to the door.
All right.
My head will be ripped off if not. Let's see. When did she send that? She just texted me. Food in 15 minutes. That was sent at 1:50. All right, I have 9 minutes. I think we can bang it out really quickly.
Okay, perfect. Let's go
Just,
ahead here.
living on the edge here because this is very dangerous. But let's see if we can get this lineup done.
Do it
Preferably in less than 9 minutes. That way, I have some wiggle room here.
All right. What? No. Oh, wait, what's going on here? I haven't signed in the Yahoo in forever, so let's go.
There's no way you remember your lineup.
We'll see. This is what I do. Hashtag shout out to LastPass. It's a password manager for free. Keeps track of all my passwords. Generates it for me.
Really good idea is keeping this open so people can see your username.
What happened?
I was saying it's really smart and secure to have your username show up.
Yeah, it's my username. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead here. We have NFL, and we have the tomorrow 3 p.m. two-game NFL slate. Where do you think we go with this? You think we go high risk? So some sort of like
Probably
a single, maybe like I'm looking here. There's a 114 player single entry GPP. I don't know if this is GPP. That's $10 actually. That's a little bit too much out of me. Let's knock the entry fee down to $5.
There's a couple single entries. Yeah, that's basically a 100-player league, that 114-player one. So
Yeah. All right. So here's a $2 single entry, 114 basically 114 player league. Yahoo, they only have one veteran badge, but like only half the players have it here. Let's go ahead and enter this contest. And one thing I've noticed about Yahoo is they actually have a lot. They have a lower rake than the other two sites, which I think is pretty neat.
oh yeah, I mean that's another selling point for the Yahoo DFS.
So, all right. So we got here. The prices are so weird. It's so weird having a budget of 200 compared to some tens of thousands of dollars. But so Kittle.
You already know. You already know.
Kittle.
Yep. You already.
Boom. Back to defense. Look at that. They're literally min price for defense. Do you think for Pro Bowl does it really matter? AFC, NFC.
Here. You have Mahomes, Luck, Watson on one side, or you have Dak, Trubisky, Russ Wilson on the other side. I would say AFC defense.
Yeah, that sounds better for me. And while it may not seem a lot, on Yahoo, $6-7 could definitely break you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm just gonna see the equivalent of that, like on DraftKings, is about 1,500. All right, cool. So let's see here. Quarterback. Uh, I think for the other positions, you absolutely have to play people from the Super Bowl, right?
Yep, I think every other position you got to go for the Super Bowl.
Okay, so your Uber Eats is probably on the way, so let's just run through it really quick. Brady Goff, I'd say maybe Brady.
Yeah, Brady.
Running backs, I think it's what half PPR on Yahoo. Am I?
So I think Sony Michelle.
Yeah. Um, and have you heard anything about this Gurley CJ Anderson thing or
Uh,
what
we'll,
the hell's going on?
we'll talk about this on our podcast. I think we're doing one today actually, with Waleed breaking down the Super Bowl slate from a DFS perspective, and then we'll certainly talk about it on our props podcast next Tuesday. I don't know. Gurley said he's healthy. He just got benched because he played a shitty game. So I don't know, man. I say CJ Anderson is the lead back right now.
Okay, so let's put CJ Anderson. Um, go here. Wide receivers. Um, again, only playing players from the Super Bowl. Doesn't make any sense to play from anywhere else. Um, let's see. We got an average salary man at $22. If you think about someone like Chris Hogan, he's $7 or what $8 under our average salary. Pairing him up with Tom Brady, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you go Hogan, Edelman, and then get one of the Rams receivers in there probably.
We go Hogan, Edelman, Cooks,
Probably. Yeah, in the dome we've talked about I think last week Cooks dome non-dome splits. So yeah, let's play Cooks.
and then for flex, um, we can fit in someone like James White.
Yeah.
But do you like that?
I don't mind it. Yeah. I like the actually I prefer the Patriots offensive weapons in this game compared to the Rams anyway. So yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly, yeah, and you'll see that on our props guide as well. That's coming out tomorrow. Um, we're definitely going to be. It'll definitely see why we're on one team more than the other.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. So this lineup, we're good to submit it.
Yep. All right, so Moose, while you're submitting that, I just want to let people know that if you're watching us on Twitch, please do us the big favor of clicking that green heart or red heart, whatever it is,
Purple
and
heart,
what color is it?
purple, bro.
Dude, I don't know. Mine says green. I guess 'cause I'm already following.
Yeah.
Purple heart. Follow us. If you're watching on YouTube, please click subscribe. Get our latest videos. And then OccupyFantasy.com, you can get all of our latest content, including our big Super Bowl props guide, which releases Sunday, the 27th.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yep, you went out for a second.
Oh, I'm good. I'm here.
All right, cool. Hey, yeah, okay. Looks like you answered Bismo's question about the six entry. Um, yeah, I mean, I think piggybacking off of that, I think if you can get off half the entries at least, that's a good start, right?
Right, ideally, you want to max it, but if it's only 6 entries too, it's not too bad. If it's like 600 entries and you have 300, then that's a little different. 6 compared to 3 is not too bad.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. So we went through FanDuel, we went through DraftKings, we went through Yahoo. We talked about the keys to Pro Bowl DFS. Again, to reiterate it, use multiple tight ends, especially if you're doing a single entry. One things you want to have your tight end as a captain. Uh, you don't have to care about your salary cap. You're going to be 10,000 plus over. You don't have to worry about that. Your low risk lineups can be entered in high risk, medium risk, all types of different allocations because we are taking a look at those market inefficiencies. We're banking off other people not knowing our keys. Once that happens, I think you should be pretty good, right, Brian?
So, dude, I think that sums it up. This is one of the, when people are asking, so you guys doing a Pro Bowl slate breakdown? I was like, I don't know, probably not. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, whoa, this is exactly like the preseason, and that's what our people love, and that's what we're the best at. So
Yeah.
let's definitely do it. So
Okay, cool. Yeah. So follow us at Occupy Fantasy on your favorite social media. Our podcasts are on at Occupy Fantasy. I'm at CFB underscore Moose. That's at Brian Jester FF. Any last words, Brian?
that's it. Let's make some money tomorrow, and then let's make some money during the Super Bowl.
Cool, cool. All right. See you soon, buddy.